how was he able to do what allegedly he did with all of those street guys without him getting caught?
Word on the street, S. Knight allegedly put up a 6-figure bounty to take George G. Williams out. No questions, no heads up, just handle it. But George didn't panic. He disappeared like a ghost. Then out of nowhere, he popped back up, ice cold, locked in, and gunning for death row. This was no ordinary dude. They used to call him Death Row himself. S. Silent Muscle, the enforcer who never missed. George was the one who'd get things done. Back in the day, he would have jumped in front of a bullet for Suge. Now, he was out to send one his way. Bodies started showing up, and each one had a tie to Suge. No trials, no legal drama, just coffins and whispers. What do you do when your own monster comes knocking? Let's take it back. The real story kicks off with S' biggest weakness. He didn't know how to chill. For all the power he had, S kept pulling strings like he was untouchable. But he messed with the wrong kind of people, real hitters. He started playing Mob and Pyrus against each other, splitting the very roots that held his empire together. He made promises he couldn't keep, money, plugs, status. He was out here writing checks with his mouth that his ego couldn't cash. And George, he saw it all, didn't say a word at first. Loyalty was the code. Ride with who you started with. That's how it goes in the streets. But every code got a limit. And word is, Suge crossed a serious line. Maybe it was about money. Maybe it was blood. Either way, it changed everything. But this wasn't just business. It got real personal. That's when G flipped the switch. He didn't make some big announcement or blow up the spot. He just vanished from death row. And then, the bodies started piling up. Quiet moves, loud consequences. S messed with the wrong one this time. And believe it or not, it all came down to cars. But not just any rides, we're talking straight heat. Blacked out Benzes, bulletproof SUVs, and those cherry red lowriders that glided through South Central like they owned the streets. To outsiders, it might sound silly. Some missing cars, that's it. But in S world, that was like straight up betrayal. Because death row wasn't just about music, it was a whole machine. Every whip, every chain, every so-called favor had a price tag and a string attached. So when word hit that G might have moved a few vehicles off the books, that was all S needed to go cold. No conversation, no warning, just cut off. After all the years, all the blood G shed to keep that empire intact, S dropped him like nothing. That's how the game moves. One week you're king, the next week you don't even exist. But it didn't stop there. Nope. The streets started buzzing. Word was, S didn't just ghost G. He might have put money on his head. Nobody's confirmed it, but the whispers got real loud. From the alleys of Compton to the shadowy back rooms at Can-Am Studios, people were talking.
I wasn't able to go with him, and unfortunately, a few hours later, I get a call from Whack Deuce. He's like, man, Heron just got killed.
Bring me G's chain, or bring me his head. That's what people say S ordered, and let's be clear, this wasn't no rap beef. This was deep, real street politics. You don't put a hit on someone like G unless you're truly ready to deal with the smoke. He wasn't some rookie. G was trained, deadly, and had been through fire. Still, they made their move. One daylight ambush caught him slipping. G got jumped and beat down in front of everybody. Some blamed MOB Peru, others whispered it was someone from the inside. Online chatter said they tried to snatch him clean off the street. G barely made it out, cracked ribs, busted face, a bullet graze, but somehow he walked away, limping like he just crawled out of a war zone. But that beating didn't break his body. It broke something deeper. His patience, his pride. G wasn't about to let that slide. After everything he'd done, after all the dirt he did for that camp, now these studio tough guys forgot who he really was, forgot what flag he bled for. So G did the unthinkable. He switched flags. And when a real one flips sides, you better hope he's not gunning for you. G linked up with the Fruittown Peru, the sworn enemies of MOB Peru. To outsiders, it might sound like he just changed colors. But in Compton, that's not a game. That's war. That's betrayal written in blood. Fruittown and Moby had been at each other's throats for decades. Beef, backstabbing, bodies. And now G, the former MOB muscle, Death Row's ex-enforcer was rolling with their biggest rivals. This wasn't just flipping the script. This was like torching the whole set and taking out the director. Some said it was all personal. Others believed G needed backup after getting crossed. But almost everyone agreed on one thing. George wasn't just trying to stay alive. He was planning a full-on comeback. And he wasn't looking to do it quietly. This was the 90s. No Twitter rants, no diss tracks. G let the streets talk. And soon, they were buzzing. People started whispering about bodies, dropping one by one. Folks close to Suge, known MOB Piru names and dudes who used to hang around Death Row Studios. Now they were ending up face down on the pavement, white sheets covering them. G wasn't just clapping back, he was clearing the board. And to this day, people still argue over the list. Some think it was just street beef turned deadly. Others say G snapped. But plenty believe he was on a mission. Straight executions, not random, not messy, precise, like a soldier locked in. Meanwhile, Death Row, the empire Suge built through muscle, fear, and loyalty, was starting to crack. Not from outside enemies, but from the inside. As the body count grew, the power S once held started slipping. And then came the first major name to fall, Harron. Aaron Palmer, a MOB Piru blood, and deep inside the Death Row circle. June 1st, 1997, he got caught slipping on the streets of Compton. It was late night, fresh off a Death Row party. Homie was chilling at a red light when a van crept up behind his ride. Next thing, two shooters jumped out and lit his car up. No words, no warning, no mercy. Next up on the list, Alton Buntry McDonald. And he wasn't just some random Death Row affiliate. This dude was top tier. Suge's closest street general, the one who kept the whole label breathing while S sat behind bars. Buntry was a certified MOB Piru shot caller. His word meant something. In the streets of Compton, his name didn't just float around, it echoed. You didn't just hear about Alton Buntry McDonald, you respected it. His name was its own chapter in Death Row history. He wasn't one of those fake camera-thirsty types. Nah, Buntry was real. No studio act, no background muscle. He was mob Piru royalty. Suge's right hand, the kind of guy who could look S in the face, say nah, and still walk away breathing. That kind of power? Rare. When S got locked up, Buntry didn't fold. He didn't flinch. While others were scrambling and second-guessing, Buntry kept it steady. He wasn't just another homie in the background, he was the backbone. When that prison door shut on S, it was Buntry who kept Death Row from crashing overnight. But now, with G on the warpath and lines being crossed, even a name like Buntry's wasn't safe. And that shook everybody. When the flashy ones ran off and snakes started flipping sides, Buntry stood firm. He held it down for real. Kept the lights on at Death Row. Kept the wolves from circling. Let the enemies know, just 'cause S was locked up didn't mean the streets were soft. But even loyalty that deep, it don't make you bulletproof. April 3rd, 2002. Compton. Hot afternoon, sun blazing. Buntry pulled up to a gas station at Rosecrans and Central, right in the heart of the hood. Maybe he was fueling up. Maybe just chilling, waiting on somebody. Either way, he was in his ride. Windows down, music likely bumping. Just a regular day in the city, until it wasn't. Buntry got lit up. Multiple shots tore through him and his ride. The car turned into a metal graveyard full of holes. Witnesses said it was too clean, too professional. Whoever did it wasn't looking for chaos. They came to send a message. He didn't even get the chance to flinch. Blood soaked the driver's seat. Gas station workers hit the floor. Bystanders screamed and security cams caught the mayhem, but not the shooter. No face, no name, just shadows and silence.
They used him to get Buntry out the house. They stopped at a gas station. Nick pulled up, kill my brother.
Buntry, one of the last real ones from the S era, was gone, slumped in his seat before the paramedics could even pull up. A soldier taken out in broad daylight, and the streets felt that loss heavy. This wasn't no random shooting, this was straight execution, like somebody had a personal score to settle. The message, loud and clear. You tried to take me out, S. Now I'm coming for your whole circle, one by one. And then it started, a domino effect. Key mob Peru figures tied to death row started falling. Not in some sloppy drive-bys or mistaken ID shootings. Nah, these were surgical strikes. Quiet, focused eliminations. This was street justice done with military precision, cold and clean. Even Mob James, one of the last real insiders still alive, spoke on it years later. His voice, shaky, his heart, heavy. He knew who was behind it. Everybody did, but nobody would say that name out loud. 'Cause in Compton, you don't speak the Reaper's name if he's still walking around free and breathing. The streets already understood the truth. A lot of fans, insiders, even a few detectives, believed this was George G. Williams' first major move, his first statement. And it wasn't subtle, it was bold and bloody. G didn't just want revenge. He wanted S to feel every inch of it, and hitting Buntry, that was personal. See, Bun wasn't just any Piru, he was the Piru. If S Empire was a fortress, Buntry was the final wall holding it up. Now he was gone. Just like that. Not in some raid. Not in a setup behind closed doors. But in broad daylight, at a gas station. G didn't duck, didn't sneak, didn't whisper. He broadcasted that fear straight to the evening news. And it didn't end there. After Buntry, it was like the floodgates busted open. More bodies, not nobodies, known faces, S people, one by one, dropping like dominoes. All Mob Peru, all tied deep into death row's core circle. And word on the street, fans say G had a list, a real one. Like he was checking off names, one by one, like it was a battlefield report. But this wasn't just gang-on-gang drama. This was personal warfare. No messy drive-bys, no wild shootouts. These were up-close, calculated hits, like, I know where you live type moves. And people felt it, for real. Folks stopped stepping out at night. OGs quit rocking red in certain zones. The city, it went dead quiet. That thick, can't breathe kind of quiet. And in the silence came the whispers. Mob James, one of the last real-deal MOB soldiers willing to speak on the death row days, finally cracked. Years later, he opened up. Caught on camera, voice trembling, eyes heavy. Talking about Buntry like it ripped out more than just a friend. He didn't just lose a day one. He lost a legacy. A living, breathing piece of what death row used to be. And when the interviewer pressed him, asked flat out, do you know who did it? James didn't say a word. He didn't need to. Everybody already knew. The streets had been speaking in low tones. Corners had been buzzing. The hood whispered it clear, George G. Williams. But nobody said it out loud. Not on camera. Not on paper. 'Cause in Compton, you don't speak the Reaper's name while he's still out here walking, breathing, and watching. You let the silence talk. You move low. You pray you ain't next. 'Cause when you play chess with a G, don't act shocked when he flips the whole damn board. And after Buntry got smoked, even S. Knight felt it, shook. And that ain't something you hear every day. But this wasn't just beef anymore. This was deep betrayal from the inside. From a man who once would have taken a bullet for him. When G was in motion, the streets went silent. Folks kept their heads down, mouths shut, and hoped their name wasn't next. Don't be shocked when he flips the whole damn board and sets it on fire. After Buntry got dropped, even S. Knight was shaken, and you don't hear that every day. This wasn't just beef anymore. This was betrayal from inside the house. From the same man who used to take bullets for S. G wasn't out here dropping diss tracks. He wasn't running to the cops. Nah, he was taking out targets one by one. Silent, precise, deadly. No clout chasing, no bragging, just straight up payback. Cold and calculated. And people close to S, they started falling back. ML Peru guys who used to be frontline soldiers were suddenly keeping a low profile. Why? Because G knew everything, every name, every habit, every car. He had been deep inside the death row machine. Now he was ripping it apart, one gear at a time. He knew where you slept, what you drove, who you called, what streets you hit. Nowhere was safe. By then, death row wasn't even death row anymore. Pac was gone. Dre had bounced. Snoop had dipped. S, he was swimming in legal trouble, and now his whole inner circle was being erased like somebody smashed the reset button. Whispers said S started acting real different. switching drivers, checking his mirrors, skipping out on Compton. Some even claimed he tried reconnecting with folks he once cut off just to stay alive. And G, gone. Just vanished. No interviews, no mugshots, no funeral, no grave. Just a ghost in the rear view. Some even say he skipped the state. Others say he never left. Just waiting, watching, in the shadows. Some say G's still in LA, living low-key, untouched. A few whispers claim he even did time under a fake name, but nothing's ever been confirmed. What we do know, the hit stopped, but the silence, it was deafening. And S, he was never the same again. It took years before anyone that close to the fire even dared to speak. But eventually, Mob James stepped up. That's Trey's own brother, real Mobby Piru. Been with S since day one. He'd seen everything, the wild money, the chaos. And in an interview when they asked him about the man who allegedly took out his brother, James's eyes dropped. He didn't say the name, but he didn't have to. His silence said it all. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. With his voice shaking, Mob James said, he walk around like he proud of it. And the streets, they knew exactly who he meant, George G. Williams. That was confirmation, straight from someone in it. A lot of people believe Mob James knew G personally, maybe even rode beside him back in the day, before all the lines got drawn in blood.
Suge Knight is headed to prison for voluntary manslaughter. He ran down a man in the parking lot of a Compton burger stand.
But once G flipped sides, that was it. It was war. James didn't lie about it. He wanted revenge, but even he couldn't touch G. That's how dangerous G had become. That's how deep it went. Not even the ones who had blood in the game could get to him. That was G, quiet, calculated, always one step ahead. And by this point, it wasn't just street talk anymore. G's name started surfacing with Compton Gang Unit detectives, like Robert Ladd, a man who spent decades chasing the worst of the worst in South Central. And Ladd said it straight. George Williams was different, not loud, not sloppy, just lethal. That's how dangerous and untouchable G became. Not even the ones with blood ties who had real weight in the game could lay a finger on him. You ever seen a man glide through the streets like a ghost? That was G silent, deadly. Gone before you even realized he was there. By now, it wasn't just hood whispers keeping his name alive. Even the Compton Gang Unit started bringing him up, like Detective Robert Ladd, a man who spent his whole career chasing top-tier hitters in South Central. And when he spoke on George Williams, he didn't sugarcoat a thing. Ladd said G wasn't loud, wasn't sloppy. He was calculated, consistent, precise, like a machine. According to Ladd, G had more MOB Peru-related bodies tied to his name than anyone else during that era. But still, no charges ever stuck. We knew it was him, Ladd admitted. We just couldn't prove it. But here's the real kicker. Even with all those bodies dropping, nobody snitched. Nobody testified. Not one person stood up. Why? Because G wasn't out here wild and reckless. He was respected, feared, and in some twisted way, maybe even admired. Some fans believed G wasn't just retaliating, he was delivering justice. That Suge's betrayal flipped a switch, turning him into a street vigilante. One who didn't come for rappers. He went after the puppeteers behind the music. Of course, none of this is confirmed. No paperwork, no signed confessions, no court files with his name in black and white. G moved through blood and vanished without a single charge. Meanwhile, S. Knight, his empire crumbled. He went from feared mogul to just another inmate with a broken legacy. No doctor, no Snoop, no Mob Piru to clean it up. Just S, alone, facing the music. Fast forward to 2018. Suge sat in court looking tired, older, a shadow of the man he once was. Facing 28 years for running someone over in broad daylight with his truck. No power left, no favors. Just mumbling in front of the judge like it was all catching up at once. A lot of fans say it's poetic. You built an empire off blood. And in the end, you drowned in it. His empire, gone. Death Row's name got sold off like some dusty old mixtape. His soldiers, dead, locked up, or vanished into the shadows. And the man behind that quiet storm, the one who sparked S' downfall without ever chasing clout, still silent, still legend. And here's the part that keeps YouTube threads Reddit pages, and barbershop arguments running for hours. Where the hell is G? Some swear he's tucked away in Texas living under the radar. Others say he's locked up under a sealed case, doing time under a whole different name. Then there's the wilder theory, the one where G got taken out in a revenge hit so low-key, even his enemies stayed quiet. Too quiet. But there's no proof. Nothing adds up. Mob James recently dropped a line in another interview. I heard he's out. I don't want to see him. That's it. Just those words, and the look in his eyes, that told everything. George G. Williams might still be out there, watching, waiting. Or maybe he walked away from it all, free, untouched, with a body count nobody dares bring up in court. Let's be real. This ain't your average gangland story. G wasn't writing bars. He wasn't beefing over lyrics. He didn't chase cameras. This went deeper than rap. He moved like a ghost, a myth. Part man, part message. And when you cross the wrong one in these streets, you don't get warnings. You get erased before the cops ever show up. No judge ever tied G. No court case. No official charges. But the streets, they tell a different story. A smart surgical war, personal, that left Snipes' kingdom in ruins. G didn't need a label. He didn't need a mic. He let the streets do the talking. If you rocked with this deep dive, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more real stories the industry don't want to talk about. Share this with your crew, and we'll catch you on the next one.